In this edition of INN CEO Talks, I'm talking with Frank Carnevale of Alkaline Fuel Cell Power Corporation. Frank, it's great to see you again.
You too, Stuart. Great to be back.
Let's start by telling viewers about your company and its focus on affordable, renewable, reliable, clean energy.
Well, fundamentally, we are bringing power to the people. And that's something in this energy transition, this global energy transition we're all dealing with. We're trying to make sure that we bring affordable, renewable, and reliable power to the people. That's fundamentally what it is. There's two distinct businesses that we're doing that through. One is fuel cells. So we're developing these great alkaline fuel cell units that are intended for residential homes, the average home in globally. In addition to other units that would be used for, backup, off-grid power generation opportunities. That's that one business, which I can't wait to get into more detail. And the second one is in this energy transition, until hydrogen is available in order to use those fuel cells. The next part is we got into the combined heat power business. So we own energy assets. For example, we've installed a few hundred kilowatt cogeneration unit to generate electricity from natural gas in a condominium in the city of Toronto, where we are literally delivering, a good amount of their total, about 60% of their total electricity requirement, 24/7, 24 hours, 7 days a week, for a 20% discount than what they would have paid if they bought it from the local electric utility. So we have these two fundamental businesses we're developing every day.
Well, these are important developments if we hope to address the energy challenges that are ahead of us. I recently did an interview with one of the authors of New Spirit of Capitalism, a book that was published by the Trilateral Commission. And they said the only way that we're going to be able to address the energy challenges of the future is if we unleash the power of the markets and innovation from companies like yours. And so tell me a little bit more about the home power generators, because what you're doing, in many ways, from my perspective, supersedes what solar panels can do, because you're getting a much better and more reliable source of clean energy.
So that is a great point. I think one thing to look at is there's a fundamental underlying assumption that I'm looking at. And in all my experience in my, almost 30 years in this industry, the challenge is in this energy transition and this movement to a low carbon, to a carbon neutral economy. Who will fundamentally pay that bill? And what I'm seeing more and more is that the average consumer, the average residential consumer, is going to be paying far more of the lion's share of that bill than they should. And so, put that aside. That's a fundamental reason why we're going after the homes in general, is that we think there's a tremendous opportunity to sell them really low cost, very affordable, again, renewable, reliable power systems. But on the point of the renewables, what's interesting is I'm not looking to replace the renewable component. If you look at the house of the future or the home of the future, absolutely they should be the most energy efficient they can be. Absolutely, they should use up all the renewable energy they have on their site. And that is, did you put up all the solar panels you can? Did you are using heat pumps to get the appropriate heating and ultimately cooling out of your environment, your ground or your air? Once that's done, what you're left with is, well, now what's your reliability? What are you relying on to make sure that when you need that power to be on, it's going to be on? That's where we come in. And we are looking to bring that truly reliable green energy source or system that will be there to make sure from peaking, backup power if the power goes out, or really if a demand energy response market or a demand resource market, you want to sell that power, then we have that opportunity. So I'm not necessarily looking to displace what the solar can do. Absolutely take all the solar panels you can take and all the site renewable power on site. We're there to make sure that when you need the power, we're the reliability that keeps it on.
Well, and that was the missing link there in the whole solar combination or solution, to ensure that you did have that power when you needed it. So that's on the residential side. Tell us about on the commercial side.
Well, on the commercial side today, again, there's two components. On the fuel cell side, what we're developing is So if you look at the European markets, Europe is farther ahead of really sending hydrogen to the home, to the site, in their pipelines to customers. And as that rolls out quicker, certainly in the coming years, the I think the organizations or the people who will benefit from hydrogen flowing the most will be the industrial, the construction sites that need access to that green energy, probably quicker than it's going to be delivered to that residential customer. So we've augmented and sort of augmented our product line to include much larger fuel cells that can be used for off-grid and backup power market opportunities. And so we're in the midst of developing. We'll start with a 4 kilowatt generator unit, move to a 10 kilowatt generator unit, and that 10 kilowatt fuel cell is effectively destined for other global integrators to stick them into their generator kits. So we'll be selling our 10 kilowatt fuel cells to them, whether they choose to stack 3, 1, 5, 10 of them. It can be anywhere from a 10 kilowatt to say north of 100 kilowatt size generator. That's what our fuel cell will go after that market as well. So that's not necessarily the residential, but that's that bigger application where you want that renewable backup power, peaking power, whatever you need for that site. So that's another market that can be quite valuable in the coming years.
So Frank, you're never satisfied with just all of that you've got on your plate. You also have the PWWR Flows Combined Heat and Power Project in Toronto. Tell us about that. And then let's talk about the overall scope of this very, very important and expanding market that you're in.
So I started just over 4 months ago, and one of the acquisitions the board did of the day, which I think was brilliant, was in this market, and every retail investor can appreciate that. In this market, it's hard to put money solely towards clean technology that's not going to see any revenue for years to come. And so the board looked at how do we augment that? How do we add an additional revenue more immediately that helps balance the portfolio, balances the company, so that someone that wants to make a longer term play in a hydrogen play with us can understand that we have more immediate revenue. And so we acquired, initially it's one operating asset, but we acquired a $50 million sales pipeline of these larger, a few hundred kilowatt in size power plants and power projects. And so, as I gave an example earlier, in this one building in Toronto, it's a few hundred kilowatts in size. It uses natural gas. We put it through a combustion engine. So it is a traditional combustion engine. And we generate electricity and then additionally heat that's used for domestic and hot water purposes. But in doing that, so we can go to condominium corps, as an example, in Canada. We can go to them in Ontario at this point and say, let's put in our power plant into your building, into your mechanical room, on your roof, wherever we need to put it. And whatever power we generate on a 24-hour by 7 days a week basis, we'll give it to you at a 20% cheaper discount than what you would buy from the local electric utility. So condo corps love that. So we have a great pipeline of projects, one that's already operational, another one that's signed. So we do have an energy services contract. We have another just under a year to get that moving to completion, and then a whole slew of projects behind that. So that business, yes, it's using natural gas, but those combustion engines can just as easily move towards receiving some hydrogen in the mix, receiving renewable natural gas. So we can green those units and those systems because they have 20, 25-year service contracts. We can continue to move those assets into a far more renewable scenario. But in those applications, which is great for investors, we are the developer, owner, operator of those assets. It's not our technology in those, but we are installing the capital base and maintaining it and generating the revenue off of it. And that's the balance we wanted to have in our portfolio to really balance off this fuel cell play that, in my opinion, and I'm very excited, is our hockey stick play. That's where we have tremendous value opportunity down the road. And for investors looking at us, that balance was able to help them understand there's a transition to that, and we're playing it out in real time.
You're also in Belgium. fuel cell power NVs. ISO certification must have been pretty exciting for you as well.
It's very exciting. I think so that is our fuel cell business is under FCP, Fuel Cell Power NV in Belgium, just outside of Antwerp. And I was just recently there looking at, it's just beautiful to see these, single cell stack running, a double stack, quadruple stack, and then our current in-lab unit that's running. Really exciting to see, the combination really of all these technologies coming into this one fuel cell. We have about 12 staff out there, so it's an amazing entity with a lot more work to do to bring them forward. So a lot more news coming out on that. I think what's critical for investors to look at is, and I'm sure you've all experienced it, and Stuart, you've experienced it. You see these great technologies, but they're not great at enabling it to be replicated and to scale. And getting an ISO 9001 certification on our business development processes, on the development of our fuel cells, was critical to demonstrate to investors that we're doing this to really scale this business. We're not doing this just to demonstrate once that we made a fuel cell. And I was happy to be out there as we announced our the ISO certification. So we think that's critical for people to understand this is really going to move. And all of the processes, the rigor that comes with that type of certification is really significant to continue to update that on a regular basis and to document it. And that's, I think, investors are looking for people taking this seriously and not just, we have a product that'll never see the light of day.
Frank, I think I need a full hour to talk to you about everything that you're working on, because let's wrap up by talking about your new joint venture in the production of clean hydrogen, which I think is going to be very, very important in being able to deliver, lower carbon based solutions. Because one of the amazing things about clean carbon is that you can blend it with gas, diesel, natural gas, and there's an infrastructure in place already to deliver those products. Like hydrogen really seemed to be coming into its own now.
So you're so right, and I think everyone knows about 2 years ago the European Union really went large after hydrogen, and they've been developing policies to really incorporate the changeover of natural gas pipeline systems to hydrogen, pure hydrogen, and that's playing out over the coming years, and every EU country is involved in that. North America, they decided a few years ago to take a more electrification approach. They're not apples and apples. It is slightly different. Electrification, they're quickly realizing North America still requires other solutions in the mix, and hydrogen is quickly becoming one of those solutions. So if you understand, we're probably not going to be in the next few years switching these natural gas pipelines purely to hydrogen overnight. Not going to happen. But part of what my objective was when I started in this role is how do we get our fuel cells to market quicker? And one way to do it is, you can go generate all the hydrogen you want in the world and create that supply. But if there isn't a natural distribution, literally in this case, a distribution vehicle to bring it to a customer, how can I sell them a fuel cell? And so part of my objective was to look at how do we speed up the flow of hydrogen to customers in order for us to get that sale. And one of the ways they're looking at it in North America, and it's not homogeneous where every natural gas utility has the same level. So on average, it's about 20% of their natural gas pipeline capacity can be filled with hydrogen. And so all the policies and procedures to enable that people are looking at it and starting to play out. So we wanted to help enable that further. So we partnered up with another clean technology, Progressus Clean Technologies, and they have this amazing hydrogen separator technology. So the way that it works is it's mind-boggling how this is going to go to market. But if say a local gas company injects hydrogen, so green hydrogen gets injected at one side of their system, you now are able to blend it, say 20% of that capacity is filled with hydrogen. And that hydrogen flows with the natural gas through the pipeline to various customers. And the way it works is if you're running a boiler at your house or you're running natural gas systems, it will take that 20% hydrogen and burn it like you're burning your natural gas, and it's cleaner because it's hydrogen. But if I have fuel cells downstream of that pipeline, and say that natural gas or the 20% hydrogen blend is coming to my home, and the way this would work is at my home. I don't want the natural gas. I want it to keep flowing by. I simply want to extract the hydrogen. So I put in this Progressus, this is our JV partnership, this Progressus hydrogen separator, small unit. I put it on my property like a reverse electrolyzer. It literally pulls out the hydrogen molecules, pulls out the hydrogen from that pipeline, only the hydrogen. It meters it, and that's what I use to run my fuel cell. So my house can get purely hydrogen, and the rest of the natural gas continues to flow by my house to the next customer. If that starts to take off, which we see that happening in North America, then it enables us to bring our fuel cells to those customers, residential customers, far quicker than we could have planned in North America. And that's why that JV is happening. We're really showing two great technologies, a hydrogen separator technology, which there are many, to start doing this with natural gas companies, and then our alkaline fuel cell, which is really cost effective compared to alternatives, to be able to convert that to power and heating for your home. So that's the quick version of, we're doing this because we want to speed up how we bring our fuel cells to market, and that's critical to our success.
Well, it's what the world is asking for now, and it is through this kind of innovative approach that we're going to be able to achieve those results. I think it's right time for investors to be looking at your company to see what kind of solutions you're bringing to that market. As I said, Frank, we could talk forever, and unfortunately, I'm out of time. But it goes to show the richness of what you're doing and why it's worth exploring more about what your company is developing at the moment to meet the challenges of the future.
Stuart, thanks for having me. This is great.
Wonderful. Thank you.